Oftentimes, when we first start playing an instrument, we end up feeling like we're doing more wrong than right, and it can be very discouraging. Maybe you have found yourself wondering if you're forming bad habits while you practice, and if so, what's the solution? Well, today I'm sharing with you the top 3 left-hand mistakes I see people make as a violin instructor, and some small things that you can begin doing today to fix them. Hi, I'm Lauren, a professional violinist and fiddle player living in Nashville, Tennessee, and I help thousands of people achieve their violin and fiddle goals. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. We'd love to have you here. So let's get into mistake number 1 that I see people make with their left hand, and that is changing strings with their wrist. Now, I've talked about this before on my channel, but if you're new here, we know that it is very hard and very complicated to change strings with the hand and the wrist, and can often put an unnecessary strain on those smaller muscle groups and smaller joints. So what we want to do instead of attempting to change strings with the hand or the wrist or reaching across strings with your fingers is to instead use the elbow. So bringing the elbow forward when we're moving into the lower strings, and then moving the elbow back when we're moving to the higher strings. This will allow you to maintain neutrality and a straight line from your hand to your elbow, and that is the goal. The second mistake that is all too common that I see people make is pressing way too hard into the fingerboard with their fingers. There is really, truly no need to be pressing into the fingerboard with your fingers as you play. This can actually be painful over time if you are practicing for an extended period of time, and it's just simply unnecessary. The distance from the string to the fingerboard is very, very short in the case of the violin in first position, and so there's really not much pressure at all that's needed in order to get the string to touch the fingerboard. So I would recommend always just going a little bit lighter with your finger pressure on the strings and making sure that you're not going too hard to where you're leaving crazy indents in your fingers. Going along with this, I also see people tend to squeeze with their thumb. So they'll really squeeze the neck with their thumb and their index finger. We want to try to maintain a relaxed state of the hand and the fingers, and that goes for the thumb as well. So as much as you can, try to remind yourself to relax the thumb and allow it to just simply rest on the side of the neck, and that'll give you much more freedom and it'll feel more comfortable after practicing as well. And finally, the last mistake that is so common that I see people make is setting up in first position where their index finger is much too low. So something like this, where they're setting up and half of their finger is beneath the neck and half of their finger is above the fingerboard. What we want instead when we're setting up is to make sure that the whole finger, we're talking about the index finger in particular, is above the fingerboard so that we're able to utilize and have access to the whole finger instead of just part of it. And this will allow you just much smoother transitions from string to string if you set up this way, and you won't have to worry about trying to access notes and maybe have your hand shifting around to different positions. So those were the top 3 mistakes that I often see people make as a violin instructor with the left hand in particular. If you enjoyed this video and found it to be helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, maybe covering other topics as far as mistakes that are technique related, let me know by leaving a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Happy practicing.